Hello, I am here today to do a really fun kind of video, or I think they're fun. They're fun to film, they're fun to watch. I'm going to do a haul video, and most of the books that I'm going to talk about are used. I recently went with my mom to multiple Goodwills and a Salvation Army, and I was able to get a plethora of used books, but I have also accumulated a couple new ones recently, and I wanted to show you what I got. Also, I got a few things that are what I would call bookish, but not actually books, and I wanted to show those to you as well. For the things that aren't books, the bookish items, I will try to include links to these products down in the description box in case you want to look for them. I don't get any commission or anything. Nobody knows that I'm going to be telling you that I like their product in this video. Nobody asked me to talk about them, that kind of thing. I found this bookmark on eBay, and it's just a personal shop. It's just a person that makes these. And I just thought it was so adorable. And I think she makes quite a few different ones, if I remember correctly. This was just the one that I really liked for October, and I'm really happy with the quality and how it came out. And then I got one book that I'm hoping to read in October. It's a manga book. It's The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I thought, well, that could be fun, right? And I think the most I spent on any of these books, any of the used ones, was $3. They were all, most of them were half off, or at least 15 or 20% off. Also, I got this mug. My friend AJ over at AJ Dunn Reads and Writes has some merchandise that they sell, and they have these mugs in quite a few different colors. But I like to drink a mug of coffee. I like to drink a mug of tea every night before I go to bed. It's one of my favorite parts of bedtime, and I've been collecting mugs that I really like that are a little bit smaller, because when I drink coffee during the day, I have those big 20-ounce mugs, but I want mugs that are like this for tea. And I thought these mugs come in a bunch of different colors, and I thought this, I think they called this color salmon on the website, and it just looked like such a warm, cozy color for tea. But I love this design. I like that there's so many colors. If you're interested in supporting their channel, go ahead and check out their merchandise link. I got a stack of books for Nonfiction November. I do plan on doing that again this year, and I'm really excited about what I found. I got this book here, Father Joe. And I thought, do I want to read about a priest? I mean, maybe, maybe not. But then I saw this on the back. It says, I picked up Father Joe intending to read just a couple of pages before bed, and found that I couldn't put it down until I'd finished it. The nature of a wise man and the true nature of what wisdom feels like in action are beautifully captured in Tony Hendra's portrait of Father Joe, who is one of the few convincing saints in recent writing. The book's last episode, when Hendra brings his son to meet Father Joe, brought unexpected tears to my weary eyes. Wow. I mean, now I really want to read it. And Tony Hendra, I believe he's a comedic author, so I'm hoping maybe the book will be laugh out loud funny. Witch, the true story of Las Vegas's most notorious female killer. And this one, I have to read this to you because it's just crazy. In February 2001, police uncovered the decomposed remains of Christine Smith, bagged like garbage in a Las Vegas storage unit. She'd been dead for years. next to the makeshift tomb where books on witchcraft and Satanism were kept. It didn't take long for authorities to discover that the owner of the Foul Canyon Gate Unit number 317 was Christine's own daughter, Brookie Lee West, a successful technical writer from Silicon Valley. Further investigation revealed something even more. And so it turns out this woman killed quite a few people. Then I found Intimate Voices from the First World War by Svetlana Palmer and Sarah Wallace. This one is a bunch of letters and journal entries from World War I from all kinds of different people. And it's got first-hand accounts of different things that happened. And to me, that is my favorite kind of history, is right from the horse's mouth. The autobiography of Mrs. Tom Thumb. She was only 2 feet 8 inches tall, but her legend reaches out to us more than a century later. As a child, Mercy Lavinia Vinnie Warren Bump was encouraged to live a life hidden away from the public. Instead, she reached out to the immortal impresario P.T. Barnum, married the tiny superstar General Tom Thumb in the wedding of the century, and transformed into the world's most unexpected celebrity. And there's a quote here from her: "Never would I allow my size to define me. Instead, I would define it." Have you read any of those, or do you want to? Gosh, I just love looking for books in thrift shops because I feel like there's all these older gems that I forget about even trying to think about looking for, because I get lost in the never-ending barrage of new release books. But there's so many books that have been out there for a while that are really worth reading, and I just get so excited about these older books. Okay, I found this one, Balanchine's Nutcracker. I was a dancer, and I was in the Nutcracker quite a few times, and it's a very nostalgic thing for me to think about the Nutcracker. I love listening to my Tchaikovsky playlist during Christmas and listening to the Nutcracker Suite. And I thought it'd be really fun during the holidays to listen to those songs and pull this out and just look at some really nice pictures of the Nutcracker and read the story, because it's got the story of the Nutcracker in here as well. I just thought that would be really fun to just kind of live out the good old days for a little bit again. The book based on the movie Gremlins. I thought, oh my gosh, what a wonderful way to step back into my childhood again. I don't know if I read this when I was a kid, but I was so fond of watching a movie and then reading the book that was based on the movie when I was growing up. It really helped me fall in love with with books. I remember my favorite one was the Adventures in Babysitting. There was a book that was written about that movie, based on it. And I just thought it was so good. I loved it. I read it so many times. And if you have a book that you remember that you did that with, it wasn't a movie based on a book, but a book based on a movie, and you really cherished it, let me know what it was, because I just think it's kind of fun to read these sometimes and then watch the movie. When I was looking at bookmarks on eBay, I found this one, The First Noel. I thought this would be really sweet to put in my books, because usually in December, every book I read is somehow holiday based. And yeah, I really like this bookmark. I thought it was pretty. So I'll put the link to her eBay page down in the description box also. I read a Victorian era holiday mystery by Anne Perry last year, and it was a 5-star read. So when I saw this one, I wanted to get this too. I have no idea what it's about. I don't even care. It's a pretty cover though, isn't it? I'm trying to remember which one it was that I read last year. It was A Christmas Journey. Look at all the books that she wrote about Christmas. I didn't know she wrote that many. Did you? My gosh. And then another nod to my younger days, I got Mary Higgins Clark, The Christmas Thief, with Carol Higgins Clark. And Carol Higgins Clark is her daughter. I used to read Mary Higgins Clark all the time, religiously. The minute her books would come out, I would get them and read them. But I don't read her books anymore, and I thought it might be kind of fun to step back into her writing and see if I still enjoy it as much as I did when I was a teenager. One of my favorite Christmas books is The Christmas Box, and then with that comes The Letter and The Locket and The Timepiece. I loved those books, and they're all by Richard Paul Evans. And then one that I've reread so many times is called Finding Noel. I think that book is so beautiful. Since I don't have very many Christmas books that I haven't already read this year to read, that's why I wanted to get so many of these. I decided to go ahead and give the Noel letters a chance. I saw the Noel Diaries on Netflix, and it was a beautiful movie. I really loved it. If you haven't seen it and you like Christmas movies, I definitely recommend it. It's called the Noel Diaries, and this is part of that series. This book is 2 books after the Noel Diaries, but I loved the movie. I think I cried at the end. It was kind of like a Hallmark commercial. You know how sometimes you cry at those and you think it's just a commercial? Well, that's how I felt watching that movie. So I had to have this book. And I don't know if the character in here is the same as the guy in the movie, but I really loved it. Now I want to watch it again. And then I also got this one, The Mistletoe Secret, which is the 3rd book in the Mistletoe series, which I haven't read any of those books either. I did get a couple books for middle grade March. I got The Doll People, and I got The Meanest Doll in the World. And these are by M. Martin, who wrote The Babysitter's Club, which I love that series, but I've never heard of this one. Have you heard of it? I just thought, oh, middle grade March, and it didn't even occur to me who this author was until after I got home and picked this book up and looked at it. But the artwork in here is really kind of fun. This is what I really love, is this page. Isn't that cool? So if you know who the doll people are, let me know. Was I sleeping when everyone else was awake? I don't remember the doll people. But, oh, there's a bookmark in here. When given the choice between being right or being kind, choose kind. That's true. I agree with that. And then the rest of these are just to read whenever I get a chance. Probably not anytime soon, but you never know. Paradise by Toni Morrison. I have not read this one yet. The 2 that I have read of hers, I loved and read multiple times. They're 2 of my favorite books of all time, so I'm hoping that I think Paradise is just as good. Green Witch by Susan Cooper. This was a library book, and I looked in there and it said obsolete, and I thought, well, not anymore. I'm going to try to bring this book back. Let's try to get it going again. I don't even know what it's about. It's like, don't tell me it's obsolete. But I did notice looking in there that this book was published in 1974, which that was a while ago. I could see why it's now considered obsolete. But it doesn't have to stay that way, right? This book, 11/22/63 by Stephen King, is a book that even people that don't like Stephen King love this book. And I haven't read it yet. And I was so excited when I finally came across a copy. And then I saw Ian McEwan, Nutshell. I did read Enduring Love, and I loved it. And then I also read Atonement in college, but I don't remember anything about it. Apparently I was reading too much or studying too much to have absolutely no memory of whether or not I even liked it. I know I liked the movie, but I don't remember what I thought of the book, which is really weird for me. I usually at least remember that, but no memory. But he's an auto-buy author for me now after how much I loved Enduring Love. I had to get this. I had to. Another palette cleansing book? Absolutely. I'm going to get these every time I see them if I don't already have them. And then we're in the middle of October, and I'm not going to be adding any more books. I don't see how I could possibly read everything I have on my TBR for October. But I did get some books for next year, or maybe between now and then. I got Shirley by Charlotte Bronte. I don't know why, but I really like this cover. And then I got The Return of the Native by Thomas Hardy. Now, I've never read Thomas Hardy before, so this might be my first one. If you've read his books, let me know if this is a good one to start with, because I know his writing can be a little bit heavy and dark sometimes, right? So if you don't think this is a good one to start with, please let me know. And then I got Hard Times by Charles Dickens, and I already know this is a really depressing book. I've read enough write-ups on it to know that. When I was researching Victober, I saw quite a few mentions that this book is really sad and depressing. And I don't mind reading those if I'm aware ahead of time, but I'm not really in the headspace for that right now. In Hard Times, says George Bernard Shaw, Charles Dickens means to show us that it is not our disorder, but our order that is horrible, that it is not our criminals, but our magnates that are robbing and murdering us. Okay, so it sounds kind of dystopian, huh? I think this copy is so fun to look at, and I've never seen one of these before. Have you? An old Barnes & Noble sticker. I went to my first Barnes & Noble in the 90s, and by then they had stickers with SKUs and stuff like that, so I've never seen one of those before. Mistborn. I've been looking for this for like 3 or 4 years now, every time I go into a used bookstore. And I found it at a Goodwill. I'm not going to start my Brandon Sanderson journey with this, though. I think I'm going to start with, what's the new one? Tress of the Emerald Sea? That's the one I'm going to start with. And then if I like his writing, then I'll start this. These two are kind of random and weird, but sometimes I get really nerdishly bookish. And so these are what I'll be reading when I'm feeling that way. These are actually textbooks, probably for college. But in college, I loved textbooks that had the best writing of blank. And it was a conglomeration of writings. And so this one is the Longman Anthology of World Literature. This one is the early modern period. And so it's got Don Quixote, probably not the whole book, I wouldn't think, because this is probably not thick enough, but it's got, well, maybe it is. It's over 500 pages. Oh, 886 pages, excuse me. So it's got Don Quixote, Machiavelli, all kinds of other stuff I've never heard of. But I thought this might be really cool to read. And sometimes I do miss being in school, and this would definitely take me back. And then they also had this one, which is The Ancient World. So this is volume A. That one was volume C. And this one has the Odyssey, Oedipus the King, the Medea, just all kinds of... And these books are really floppy in that way that I think we all love. And then I've got 3 new books. This is from the Dollar Tree, The Other Passenger, and this one is about, so there's this woman who talks to this guy every day on the ride home from work on the ferry, and they're friends, but they have a disagreement that everybody sees where they're arguing, and then something happens to him. I don't know if he gets killed or disappears or what, but the cops think that she did something. That sounds right up my alley. And then This one, Giving Up the Ghost. I really like that cover. By Sherry Senikin. This one is a haunted house YA book. Kind of looks like V.C. Andrews, probably not as dark as. So this book is about a 13-year-old girl named Davia. And Davia and her parents go to live with her great aunt for the summer on a plantation in Louisiana because her great aunt is in hospice. And there's a Creole ghost that is haunting this house. And there's a lot of spooky things that happen with the house and with her aunt. The last one is Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. If you are a fan of Dracula, I've heard that you would love this book. I haven't read Dracula. I know. I plan to someday. So I don't know the comparison, what I would think. But I am obsessed with this book. This is the one that I read a couple months ago where I was talking about how it's very, very open as far as polyamory and everybody loving everybody, like vampires are known to do, right? But it's just a very beautiful book. It's written very beautifully. It really goes into abusive relationships and how we can get drawn into them and manipulated to stay in them, and how we can leave. And I love it so much that I, after listening to it, really wanted to have a copy. I wanted to reread it and annotate it and read it multiple times throughout my life. And when I get this excited about books, Brad always says, go ahead and get it. So I've got this one. I only have about 3 or 4 more right now that I'm aching to get that I read that I loved. But yeah, so this is one that I just got, and I'm so excited. That's it. That's all the books that I wanted to talk to you about in this book haul. Let me know if you've read any or you want to read any. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night. Happy reading. Bye.